So, taking on the spoons this week is a major supporter of Comic Relief and a podcast superstar. Please welcome Sophie Habboo.
Hello, I'm excited.
Now, is it Sophie? Is it Miss Habboo? Is it Habs?
It's Sophie.
It's Sophie.
It's Sophie. I guess I'm Mrs. now.
You are Mrs.
I'm Mrs. Not Mrs. Lang, Mrs. Habboo.
Really, you didn't take the name. I mean, your surname's so good.
Do you think?
Why would you take Lang over Habboo?
I think maybe one day I will. It's a lot of admin.
But I mean, one might say a double-barreled Habboo Lang, Lang Habboo.
Lang Habboo. Does it have a ring? I'm not sure.
But do you think he'd take?
He would have to. I would be very bad if he said no.
Does he do what he's told?
He does what he's told.
Yeah.
Depending on what area, but he would have to take my surname if I wanted him to. Good. We'll see.
Well, he has no choice, it appears. So you are here to talk about Comic Relief, and we are both wearing some very, very smart jumpers here.
Very smart.
You've got Shaun the Sheep on you,
and you've got Wallace and Gromit.
I've got Wallace and Gromit, and what I like is it's a nice bit of embroidery. It's not just stuck on. I've got. Well, is it a grey or is it a sort of?
I think
it's a sort of gentle blue, isn't it? Mine. Where you are a vision.
Minty.
Or a vision in pistachio.
Oh yes, it is pistachio, isn't it?
So tell me how this has come about and what is it all about?
So supporting Comic Relief this year, I like to always get involved with this charity. It's an amazing charity and they are selling T-shirts and jumpers. You can get them from TK Maxx.
Ah, the great TK Maxx.
The great TK Maxx, and it all goes to support Comic Relief.
Well, that's great. And do you get a lot of free stuff? I mean, could you clothe yourself from head to toe in Comic Relief TK Maxx clothing? I'm not sure I'm going to take this off.
I think I'm going to say this too. And you've got these little mugs.
Oh, we got a lovely mug set.
Loads.
So I've got a Wallace mug, who is very smart. I shall be stealing that and bringing that home. Obviously, I will make a small donation to the charity as a result of my theft.
TK Maxx. Go get them.
Go get them. They're great. And there's lots of other stuff that you can get as well. There's books and cuddly toys and all sorts of things that we've got on display here.
Yeah.
But it's all in a great cause.
Yeah, absolutely.
But will we see you on the TV for Comic Relief? You've not been invited?
I don't think I've been invited.
That's a mistake.
That is a mistake.
As one of our country's leading podcasters, I think that is a mistake on their behalf.
I'm going to be supporting from the sides, wearing head to toe. Comic Relief.
So let's go back a little bit. Oh, first and foremost, I have got you your favourite drink here.
I saw this.
Now, try it. Tell me, is it up to standard? And tell people what your favourite drink is.
That is an elderflower and sparkling water.
So there is
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10, good. But it's a slight contradiction with one of your other answers because you hate flavoured water.
This is so true. Yeah, but let me tell you, you got the proportions right in this. If people give me a weak elderflower, no. The weak tainted water, it's like you need a flavour.
Going back to the beginning, all right, because you have now, I don't know if you're okay with me divulging, you've had a significant birthday recently.
Birthday? No, I'm not 30.
No, it's coming up though.
Yes,
it's coming up.
Right,
it's coming up. You've got
Although I have been called 29 in the press since I was 23, so everyone must think they must think I'm like 35 right now.
Let me ask you the question because I had this are you worried that you're getting old turning 30?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can I just tell you the same thing my parents said to me?
Yeah.
Not that I'm your parent, that would be weird.
Please tell me.
30 isn't old.
Yeah, but let me tell you.
It really isn't old. Take it from a 53-year-old man, it isn't old.
Yeah, but you're 53 years young. I feel old, and this is the reason being, I've always been the youngest in the room, and now, like, my bank, I'm on the phone to the bank, and the bank manager's younger than me, and it just feels wrong.
Oh, you wait until policemen are younger than you.
It just feels wrong.
That implies that I've been arrested a few times. Anyway, the policemen are all younger than me now. You know.
How many times have you been arrested?
Let's not go into that. There's been the odd brush with the law over the years. When I was younger, before 30.
Before 30.
Before
Anything
30.
before 30 is fine.
Before 30. So, I mean, you've had quite an extraordinary time in your 20s. I mean, you know, when you turned 20,
Yeah.
did you think your life was going to be this different 10 or so years later?
When I turned 20, I was at uni. I don't think I thought much at 20. I just thought, what party am I going to tonight? Got to get up and go to uni the next day. No, I think, yeah, it is kind of crazy. I mean, I didn't really think any of it would happen, I guess.
Because obviously a lot of people will initially know you from Maiden Chelsea.
Yeah.
Where you came in and created a sort of quite strange character in it, in that you were nice.
I was nice? Okay, great.
Well, more sympathetic or perhaps relatable than some of the other people.
Oh,
I mean,
that's lovely.
But that's how I remember you coming
Okay.
into it. Was like, oh, they sort of seem to have normal values and sort of, you know, a kind of everyday approach to things. Whereas, do you miss any element of that?
Miss any element of Maiden Chelsea?
Yeah.
I don't miss it. It was really fun while I did it, and like we got to travel the world and we partied and it was all really fun. But it was also, you know, the show breeds toxicity and it breeds arguments, and you're not great TV if you're nice. So, and you're not cheating on someone or breaking up with someone. So I feel like when Jamie and I got together, it was a real moment to be like, okay, our relationship probably isn't going to last if we're doing a TV show and airing all of our, you know, it's just not. And on the other side of things, we wouldn't really be doing a good job at the TV show if we were having a boring, normal, happy relationship. So we made the decision to leave.
And it turned out it worked in your favour because the two of you are now very happily married. Yeah. You grew up. Tell me a little bit about family life, because obviously through food and everything, I always find stuff relates back to family life. So I'm gonna pull something out now that may trigger some memories around childhood. But I've got it down here. I've left it in the packaging that I believe it would have come in as a child, which is the ham and cheese sandwich for perhaps a picnic or for a school trip, that kind of thing, in the plastic bag wrapped in cellophane. Now, I don't mind a ham and cheese sandwich, but you find them, quite frankly, offensive.
Offensive.
Why? It's a ham and cheese sandwich.
Right, okay, I don't understand. Am I eating this?
Well, you can do. You don't have to. I might have a nibble of it because I don't mind a ham and cheese sandwich.
Let me walk you through it. Okay. The bread is like it's just stale almost. And then the ham has like fat going through it.
Yeah.
And like it's shiny. And then the cheese, it's not so much the cheese is fine. It's the clumpy butter that they used to have in it.
Now, in this sandwich, I've tried to reenact that by spreading the butter. I mean, normally I like butter, right? And I like a lot of butter.
I like butter on like bread, but this sort of doughy slices of
supermarket bread.
Yes, it doesn't go in.
Let me just get it out of the packaging. I'm going to get rid of that noisy plastic bag. And we're going to open up the cling film.
I can't wait.
And present to you fully the delight that is the school trip sandwich.
I feel like you've done nicer ham than I would have had back in the day.
I did get it from a quite nice supermarket. But it's still, but it is still there's nothing in that isn't processed.
Yeah, exactly. Should I have a bite?
Yeah, please. I mean, I made them for you this morning.
See, look, this actually feels quite luxurious. I don't think back in the day it was quite like this.
You see? I mean, what is offensive about a ham and cheese sandwich?
That's nothing.
You see? Now, when was the last time you ate a ham and cheese sandwich? She's still eating it.
Still eating. That's really good.
See, there we go. We've achieved already. We haven't even got to the spoons, and we've changed your opinion.
You've cheated because the cheese is really good cheddar.
Well, it's nice, but I bought it sliced. I didn't slice it myself.
It feels like strong cheddar, and the ham is definitely way better than that thin wafer thin ham.
Well, you know, as
And the bread's even nice.
as children who grew up in abject middle class bliss, it's all been bought from Waitrose.
What was going on when I was young? Because it wasn't like this.
Maybe Waitrose wasn't as prolific.
Maybe.
What was food like at home growing up?
So my dad is Arabic, half Arabic, and I called my granddad my papa. He lived in a coach house, and he used to come over and and he was Arabic, and he'd make lots of Arabic dishes, so rice and tabbouleh and hummus and all of these things. So I had quite advanced palate, maybe. And then my mum's side of the family, her dad lived in Spain. So my mum always tells people all the kids would be like, please can we have ice cream? And me and my sister would be like, please can we have a bowl of olives? And we just loved quite weird food. We never got given kids food, ever. Well,
that's where we are quite similar. When I was growing up, my nickname was the Artichoke Kid. Because going to a restaurant when I was about 4 years old, sitting down and ordering the artichoke, and everyone going, that's a very strange choice for a child, but loving it and eating it. And, you know, luckily I grew up in a family where I had a mother who could cook and developed a great love of food and then a whole career in it. So turned out right food for me.
Yeah.
But it's funny how doing this podcast and talking to people, how invariably a lot of the blocks around them having a kind of, what I would say, open-minded palate are related to childhood.
Totally. I remember just my friends would be horrified at the food that I would eat. Like and still to this day, even Jamie, my husband, a plate will come and he'll be like, well, I like that. And I'm just like, try it. Firstly, why do you not know what it is? I don't understand how you can't tell what's on the plate. And then secondly, try it. Don't ask me. You won't know until you try it.
Well, I think there is a thing in a lot of relationships where there is the role of educator and the role of educatee.
That's me. That's my role.
So consciously or subconsciously, he chose you to learn more.
Oh my God, great. I'll take that.
So we've changed your opinion about the ham and cheese sandwich.
Weirdly, it's quite nostalgic, and weirdly, it's very wholesome and feels like I'm at my grandma's house.
Well, we've got another one there. We're going to leave that one there. I'm going to wrap that one up for you so you can take that home with you. And,
what a prize.
You know, and obviously Jamie will love that because that's probably within his realm of stuff that he would like.
It'd be his
but I mean,
dream,
does he have like really weird stuff that you're like, why do you not like that? Like some people, I always find it strange when people go, I don't like peas.
No, Jamie's just like, don't like fish. One of those, you know those?
Now, I've got something else down here for you, which you've said, I think this might fall under the auspices of guilty pleasure, which is...
That to me is pure heaven.
Tell people what that is.
Okay, so we've got delicious malt balls. Tony Chocolonely is the best thing ever.
I do love it. Now, have you always had a love of pick and mix, or was it down to perhaps your life partner owning a sweetie business?
Well, pick and mix, Candy Kittens is great, and I love them. Shout out to them.
Can you spot them? I did put some in there.
I can spot them.
Do you know which ones those are?
I can see them, these little cat heads poking around. And these are the strawberry, wild strawberries.
Oh, she knows her Candy Kittens.
I know. But when Jamie and I first met, we used to do this really weird thing. He used to live on just off the King's Road, and we used to walk to Fulham, the cinema, and we used to go and just get the pick and mix, and then we'd go home with the pick and mix. And
Don't watch a movie?
We don't watch a movie, no.
Right.
Yeah, weird. Occasionally we did, and then he would be like, don't ask, strange boy. Anyway, it made me like obsessed with pick and mix. And then when lockdown happened, and now you can't get pick and mix anywhere, I like developed a real love for it. Now wherever you go,
But surely you've got just at home cupboards full of Candy Kittens, and you could just mix them all together and make your own pick and mix.
It's true, but it's not quite the same. You know, the bag that it used to come in. But this, look, you've done a really good job here. I think I will take this home and do the same thing.
Well, it is yours. It is yours to have.
Delicious.
I, personally, at the moment, am sugar-free.
Tell me more.
Well, sugar and me have a strange relationship because I have no off switch when it comes to sugar. So if I'm eating it, it's pretty much all I'll do. So I either am
or
am not. And at the moment, am not, because it's kind of hangover from Christmas, which lasted quite a long time into sort of end of February.
Right, so you're recently off the sugar.
I'm recently off the sugar.
It's hard to get off sugar. I really agree. It's very addictive and it doesn't make you feel good and it's bad for the gut, which is bad for the brain and all those other things.
But you see, I wish that I could just do things in a measured way. But anything that might give me what one might describe as pleasure or instant pleasure, I do it till I can't do it anymore.
Right, endorphin. An endorphin
it's a problem. It's a problem. And that is a whole bowl of
endorphins.
Endorphin and potential problem for me. And there is, as I'm looking at it now, I'm thinking, which one would I start with?
Yeah, which one would you start with?
It wouldn't really matter because I would finish that bowl.
Wait, how long?
I could probably get through that in about 10, 15 minutes.
For the listeners, this bowl is a big bowl.
Yeah, it is a big bowl.
Would you feel ill?
Yes, but I would keep eting as well. That's the other thing. It's almost like a sort of Labrador mentality. I would keep going regardless.
Just keep going back. Yeah. What's your sweet choice? If you could choose anything, sweet,
cake. It would be a bar of dairy milk.
Plain.
Dairy milk. Just straight up.
A small one or family?
No, the 1 kilo bar. The 1 kilo bar where people can give it to you and have your name written on it.
You're kidding me.
No, I can do that.
So, okay, right. So no chocolate for you.
Yeah. Now, you are someone who, and I think both of you as a couple, keep yourself in good shape. Health is a big part of your life, health and fitness. Has that always been the way?
Yeah, it kind of has. My mum's really... we never had processed food sort of thing growing up. I mean, we didn't, that might be why I like sweets so much, because we did not have sweets in the house. We had sort of like homemade flapjacks or like banana bread or carrot cake, but she wasn't processed. We didn't really have white bread, any of that sort of stuff.
And she was, just for the record, she was a good cook.
She was an amazing cook. She is an amazing cook. So she was really good, but we would have sort of like really adventurous stuff. Like she didn't sort of give us that typical kiddie easy go-to things. So I've always been really healthy, but I do really like sweets.
Because we established that at one point we did share an obsession.
Yes, we did.
Which was Versa climbing.
Yeah.
Explain to people who don't know, A, what that is, and how insane a class that is.
Right. So me and Mark used to go to this class at this gym, and it is a climbing machine that you have to climb. I mean, the only way, how can you describe it? It's crazy.
It's like going up a ladder but going nowhere.
Going nowhere, and you are sweating. You burn about 8,000 calories in one session.
So you imagine you're on these machines and you are climbing as if you're climbing up a ladder, but you're in a room with 20 other people, so it's like a spin class, and it's all music with somebody at the front shouting at you.
With their top off and sweat is dripping everywhere.
Yes. I mean,
and you were very, very, very good.
I was for a time, but, as we established, I peaked and then couldn't do it anymore.
We both basically bailed on it because we weren't hitting the goals that we wanted.
But I mean, I did it for 3 years.
Yeah.
For those who are interested, it's at the BXR gym, which there are a couple in London now, and it is a Versa climber class, and it definitely sorts out the fit from the unfit in terms of aerobic capacity.
Wow, yeah.
It is the hardest and most brutal class I think you can do.
And it's incredibly addictive because the high you get after it is like nothing else.
And it is a room full of healthy people sweating joyfully together.
Yeah, there's a couple. Whoa, yeah.
Yeah, there are some whoopers, which I don't buy into, but that's
God, I was one of them.
So, podcasting.
Yes.
Now, I'm new to this game. You are a seasoned professional. Do you have any tips for me as a newbie in all of this as to how to get, more people to listen to this? I mean, obviously having excellent guests like yourself on help, but, do you enjoy doing them? Is it a kind of medium you love working in? What's it like working with your husband?
That's another thing. Well, I think because we spoke about Maiden Chelsea, so Maiden Chelsea was so edited, and I had no control of, and I just cried in every scene, which was not all that I do, but that's what I was edited to look like I do. So for us,
big old sobber.
A big old sobber. With no humour and nothing. So that was great. And then we obviously did the podcast and we can edit it. It doesn't really get edited heavily. So I think that's where it's nice. And it feels like a really nice community. Everyone's rooting for each other. It's a positive, nice community. I think just keep doing what you're doing. It's great.
But to working with your husband, I mean, it's quite funny. So you look at Abby and Peter and Rosie and Chris, do you ever kind of say something to each other during the podcast that then lights up afterwards?
Well, quite often, right at the beginning, I didn't listen to it and I didn't really want to listen to it. And then I would say...
to be honest, I don't listen to this. This could be rubbish. I don't know.
I don't like listening to myself.
No.
Too critical.
No.
My voice sounds weird.
My voice sounds really weird. And so I would say things in the podcast and I would say to the producer, guys, make sure you cut that out. To my horror, listening back, or someone said, you know that you do that quite often and none of it gets cut out. So there would be arguments aired that I'd said, make sure that's cut out, going away thinking it's going to get cut out, and it's aired to all those people. So they've had me at my worst, not my best.
And do you blame Jamie for that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I blame him wholeheartedly.
Good. Now, Jamie's recently taken on a new job as one of the hosts of Drive Time.
Yeah.
And there's been a kind of mixed sort of reception to him taking that on. And speaking as one of probably the world's oldest Nepo baby, I think it's really unfair.
Yeah.
Because I don't know Jamie, I've never met Jamie, but what I've observed in him over the last 8 to 10 years is he's a grafter. He works.
Yeah.
And why does he deserve that less than somebody else? He's good at what he does, he's entertaining, and I just think it's one of those things, people don't like you being something that they think you're not.
Yeah, I agree.
And people have a perception of him and you because of Maiden Chelsea that you're sort of silver spoon, never done a day's work in your life, wander around, life's really easy for you, blah, blah, all that kind of stuff. It's not the case though, is it?
It's not the case. That's one of the downfalls of that show. Like you do get branched under an umbrella and it's very hard to take yourself out of that or show that you're not like that. And Jamie's worked so hard. I mean, he even said he's been asking to do slots on that show for so many years, 6, 7 years. And one of the producers that he's now working with remembers him coming in when she was just sort of an intern, and he was like, one day I'm gonna, be here and do it. And she was sort of like, yeah, sure. And then 7, 8 years later, he is. So I'm really proud of him. I hope he wins everyone over.
I'm sure he will. Because it comes down to the fact he's actually good at what he does.
Yeah.
And he works hard.
He works very hard.
And and that perception, because he comes from a privileged background, that you don't work hard, I think is so wrong. Because you look at what he's achieved over the last 8 years. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just land in your lap.
No, I agree. So did you have the same thing?
Well, growing up with a living legend as a father and a national institution, you can get pigeonholed by people, and they tend to think that you are a certain way. I mean, I always used to have this thing where, you'd work on a project with somebody, and you'd all get on really well, and stuff happen, and you'd get to a certain place, and then you'd have that fantastic conversation at the end where somebody would turn around and go, "It was really nice to discover you weren't a tosser." And you're like, "Oh, great! So that's where I was starting." The assumption is, "Oh, he's Terry Wogan's son. He must be an idiot." And you turn up. If you're working with a team, you're a team member. If you've got to, stand up and be something required of you, and you do it even though you're scared of doing it or whatever, that's just how you've got to approach life.
Yeah.
And I would imagine the first time that Jamie slid that fader up on that, the heart was probably going 10 to the dozen, but he did it, and he did it well. And I don't know. I think the problem in this country is there is tons of room for criticism and no room for redemption.
That is so true. I really agree.
And I think that, and people aren't allowed to change, or aren't allowed to come out of their lane and do something else. And that's why, for me, doing this was a real challenge and a real opportunity. And I've loved doing it, because I've been in restaurants for God knows how many years. And this came about, and I just thought, why not? And it's also that thing of, I suppose you get a bit older and you don't worry so much.
Do you think that's the case?
Yeah, I just don't, it's
What age did you start worrying?
I think I stopped worrying around about 40.
Okay, so I've got 10 more years to go.
Well, no, you might stop worrying earlier. I think it is that thing of, I think, was it Alfie Bow said it on this podcast, "What you think of me is none of my business."
That is a great quote.
Yeah, because it's none, it's like, I keep my side of the street clean. I try and be nice and kind to everybody. And I mean, as my dad used to say, actually, he goes, "Not everyone's going to like you." And that's just the fact of life.
It's so true.
But the ones who do, make sure that they like you for the right reasons, as well as that you are yourself. You're not trying to be something that you're not. There's no kind of, and I think that's what you guys have come through with your podcast and what Jamie's doing now and whatever, is like, you're unashamedly yourselves.
I love it too much.
No, but that's a good thing, because then there's no performance to break down.
Yeah.
You're not pretending, I suppose, in a way like you were scripted to be in Maiden Chelsea.
Yeah.
There's no pretending. So there's that thing of like, when people met you outside of Maiden Chelsea, it's like, why aren't you crying?
Totally. And I so know what you mean, because in this, there is a lot of people who have an act, and then it's like, well, how do you come out of that? Which is so fair enough. Like, everyone's sort of got, you're always going to have a different face, like your work face, your family face, your relationship face. But if it's so far from the real you, then when you're in the other
You get very
scenario,
lost very quickly.
Yeah, it's a challenge.
And it's like you've got to put that armour on every time you go out
Totally.
the door. Life becomes quite exhausting.
Yeah.
Just going to take, look, this is how I am. If you don't like me, that's fine.
Yeah.
Don't mind.
I'm going to live by that quote.
Yeah. What you think of me is none of my business.
I love it.
Right. So I've given you sugar.
Yeah.
I've given you ham sandwiches.
Yeah.
We have now got to that point in proceedings where I am going to give you the blindfold.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
And I am going to feed you your first spoon.
This is one of those cool blindfolds that's like,
Oh, you can see nothing in this.
I can see nothing.
You are completely
okay.
under
Here I go.
my spell now.
Wow.
So this is the first spoon. I'm just going to move
hold my
Wallace out the way. No. I'm going to feed it to you.
Okay, great.
So I'm just going to
Can't
slide
wait.
the first
scared.
spoon
Is this not what I do not like?
This is based on the food that you say you love and the food that you think you hate.
Oh God.
So this is your first spoon.
Do I open my mouth?
Well, if you want the food to go in, that's the way it works. Open wide, here you go. There you go, whole spoon. Now, tell me the flavours, the textures, what are you getting? Any clue what's in your mouth at all?
Salmon. Fish.
Fish is right.
Haddock?
No,
Roll-up herring.
no. Are you getting any other flavours? Any other texture? Is it enjoyable? Do you like the flavour?
It's quite strong for me, but I don't hate it.
Take your blindfold off, you're going to see what this is based on one of the things you said you love, which is avocado. This is tuna tartare.
I do really like it, but when you don't know what it is, it's quite strong fishy.
Well, there's tuna tartare and it's got a ponzu dressing and then avocado through it.
See, if I could see that, I would really like it. In my mind, I was thinking it's going to be something I hate. So I was thinking...
You're all prepared to hate it.
And because
and
raw fish...
It's made up of ingredients you love.
And I do love it, but raw fish, when you don't know what it is in your mouth, is a bit jarring because it's quite a slimy texture.
Well, I mean...
And I was thinking it's tripe or herring.
What you're saying is that blindfold sushi wouldn't work.
Blindfold sushi wouldn't work. I think you need to see that. It's because it's slimy, but it's delicious.
But it is amazing how much you eat with your eyes, isn't it?
That's really strange.
I mean, the second spoon is obviously yours. Would you have the second spoon now?
I know that in a restaurant I would choose that for my starter and I would love it. It just felt, it was the flavours are so much stronger with a blindfold.
Yeah.
Wow.
But also confusing in the textures and, because you can't see just before it goes in, oh, I am about to eat raw fish.
It's so crazy, the mind.
See? We love the blindfold and what it does.
We love the blindfold. Maybe I would love a ham sandwich. Maybe they just look a bit ugly to me. And that's why I didn't like it.
I mean, it'd be interesting to go back and feed you the ham sandwich blindfold and see. But the thing is, we changed your opinion about the ham sandwich.
You did.
You'll be having those. You'll be making a little packed lunch for you and Jamie at the beginning of the day. Come on, darling, there's your ham sandwich. Would you like some pickle with that?
Pickle's the most delicious thing in the entire world.
What, like Branston pickle?
No, I'd have any pickle.
I do love anything pickled.
A pickle in that. Branston pickle would be 10 out of 10 with that.
A pickled onion, sliced up.
Unbelievable.
In that. I tell you what I don't love, a pickled egg.
Oh, I've never tried one.
You get them in the big jars in the fish and chip
stink.
shop. There's something.
Yeah.
It's when you get that, that
colour.
eggy.
And they tend to be a bit like brown or discoloured on the outside, right?
Yeah. Or the Japanese delicacy, the 1,000-year-old eggs.
No.
Which are basically rotten. Or the other thing that Finns like, which is just hanging a piece of shark meat up in a garage and just letting it rot. Oh. They eat rotted shark meat.
That thing that's in the can?
Yes, you see people opening it on social media, and the smell is unbelievable.
So they're eating rotten fish?
Rotting fish.
But why?
Well, I suppose because, going back 100 years, there are certain times a year where the ice was too thick to crack it.
Right.
And actually fish something out of it. So you had to get used to eating the stuff that had gone off. And it's like, actually, if you drink enough schnapps with it, it's fine.
That is not me. I'm not going to be eating rotten fish.
No. And that, and that is the sort of other side to what we talk about here, which is, there is no such thing as a bad ingredient, but you can do awful things with an ingredient to make it taste terrible.
Yeah.
So would you have the second spoon?
I'm not going to, but I can. Do you want me to?
No, you don't have to. It's not, it's... It
was very delicious. I might try a little bit just to see what the difference is. No, it's so different.
Now, rumour has it, you've done your podcast as a live show, but you're actually taking it on tour this year?
We're going on tour. We start end of this month.
Wow.
Do we start end of this? Nope. We start in April, the next month.
What date?
22nd. So we start on the 22nd of April.
I could have used it as part of my birthday celebration.
Oh, please.
13th of April, I could have come and
do it as a late birthday
I'll do it as a late birthday.
We'll have a seat for you and your wife.
And are you going countrywide with this?
We're going countrywide. We're doing Birmingham, Manchester, Glasgow, Dublin.
Now, that's a different challenge. And going back to what we were saying is like not being afraid to take on challenges and do it. It's like, and I think it is the mark of when you have a successful podcast that you can tour it. I mean, that means you've obviously doing well with that podcast. How different is it doing it live?
So we did the live show last year, and I will say I was in the midst of getting married. It was a one-off show. We just wanted to see what the reaction was. I don't think we prepped it enough. Maybe gave ourselves a day to do.
Did Jamie think you had?
Jamie was like, don't worry. This time we're going with quite a different approach.
Are you a bit more precise than him?
I'm a little bit more. He has no. We did this thing called the disc. I don't know if you've heard of it, which is sort of like you work out your colours and of your personality, and our company did it. And he is basically the lowest blue that lady had ever had, which blue is planning and organising. So you can imagine planning and organising.
I think I'd be in the blue.
I was quite low blue too.
But you do seem quite a focused individual. I mean, having seen you on a Versa climber, you're definitely focused. but you seem to have planned things.
I guess maybe. I guess I don't go with. I like to know some form of plan. I'm not very good at just going into things willy-nilly.
And you see, I like. That's where I drive
Really?
Johnny mad.
No planning whatsoever.
Limited planning. I let him.
that's the
He
beauty.
plans for me. Johnny plans for me.
Well, if you've got a Johnny,
Yeah, you know.
you can just be
Everybody
low blue.
needs Johnny. I mean, so Jamie's not your Johnny.
No.
I mean, Johnny's not really my Johnny. Susan's my Johnny. I've been really nice to you because I'm going to serve you another spoon now.
Oh God, I'm terrified.
That's not the only reason I was really nice to you.
Do I put this blindfold
you
back
put the
on?
blindfold back on. It is time for another spoon. I'm going to put those over there.
I just know this one's going to be a bad one.
You don't know that.
I do.
I don't know.
Tell
It doesn't always work like that. And hey,
the tone
excuse
of
me,
your
you're
voice.
cheating with that.
I'm not.
Pull
I
that
can't-
down.
I can't see every
Yes,
single
no,
bit.
there's a gap. I can see a gap.
Okay, good.
Right. Here we go with your second and final spoon. Now, open wide. It's quite big, this one. Oh. There we go. What have you got there? Flavours, textures.
A fish finger and it's delicious.
It's a very posh fish finger.
It's not.
Yeah, you take it off. That's a deep fried oyster.
Oh my God, that is so good.
But it's got with it one of your least favourite ingredients. We made a dill mayonnaise.
I know, and I can taste that, and I would want to wipe that off. But I do like it. The dill lingers.
I love the fact that you went straight to fish finger. I mean, Jamie, who's been downstairs lovingly shucking the oysters, panning them in breadcrumbs, delicately deep frying. Nice fish finger.
That is so good. That's really delicious. I suggest people try that.
So and that's what I mean. So you've got something there with it that you find abhorrent, which is dill. But with that, delicious, right?
It's strong flavour, and I wonder. You're right. I wonder whether I would have known it was dill if you hadn't told me, because the flavour's coming through now, and I'm not mad about it.
Would you eat the second spoon?
Yeah, I would.
Are you going to have the second spoon?
No, I'm not. But I would eat it. I
would eat it if I was the slightest bit hungry.
It is really delicious.
Well, look. So I think we've done quite well on this episode.
You've done really well. The drink's been 10 out of 10.
The drink's been 10 out of 10. We've changed your mind about a ham and cheese sandwich, which, quite frankly, I couldn't understand why you didn't like in the first place. You've understood how important sight is to eating food.
Crazy.
And you've actually eaten dill and not bitterly complained about it or spat it out, which some guests do.
Have they really?
Yeah, some guests do spit things out.
What's been the worst thing that someone's, like the most ridiculous thing that someone's not liked?
Well, Gabby Roslin
Yeah.
spat out rice pudding. Can you think of anything less offensive than rice pudding?
No, it's the most delicious.
I mean, it's vanilla and cream and sugar.
rice.
Literally.
Like it's plain.
Like it didn't even remain for 5 seconds.
She must think it feels like sick, because that's what at
it's
school.
it's a textural
It's the
thing.
texture, yeah.
I mean, look, school food, terrible across the board. I don't wish to discredit any dinner persons, or in my day, dinner ladies. But yeah, cooking for that many people with that kind of
tough
budget,
gig.
it's a tough gig.
Yeah.
To
It was
bring
not
in
good.
anything edible for that price per head. That's the challenge, and that's why school food's terrible. So, to the government, give them more money for food. They might get people eating more decent stuff. Anyway, we've come to the end of proceedings now. Would you say we have changed your opinion on certain ingredients?
You've changed my opinion on dill, and I'm almost more hesitant to raw fish.
Really? So we pushed you the other way?
Yeah. I don't know, it was a bit slimy in my mouth.
But I mean, you
I love it. By the way, that's
but
like
you've regularly eaten probably in some of the best sushi restaurants in the world.
But having your eyes closed and putting raw fish in your mouth really changes your mind on it. It was a lot of texture.
Oh my God, we've gone
Or
the
lack
other
of
way.
texture.
We've pushed someone away.
I don't think I'll have sashimi again.
Well, it's a mixture of success and failure for us this week.
That dill, give me a bowl of dill.
I cannot thank you enough for agreeing to take part. Massive thank you to you, Sophie. And best of luck with the tour.
Thank you.
Best of luck with marriage. Best of luck with parenthood. Should that happen for you, I really hope it does. And you can buy all the comic relief wear at TK Maxx. All the money goes to a very, very good cause. And you can look as smart as Sophie and I, should you choose to go and buy some. But that is all for this week. I would like to thank the team here at the Mount Street Restaurant, and of course Jamie Shears, for creating some fantastic food. I think you'll agree.
Delicious.
And of course I will be joined next week by another very special guest who will be trying the food they think they love or the food that they think they hate. The difference is they will be blindfolded.